Just like Brad did, I want you to join me in a word of prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you for allowing me and Brad and all these other youth to have this opportunity today, Lord, that we can come in here, Lord, no matter what our age, that we can share your word, Lord, and bring people closer to you and just share you with them. Lord, help everyone in here to have clear eyes and open hearts to receive everything you have for them, and help just send your word through me, Lord, that it not be my word, but it be yours. And I just thank you for everything you've done for us. Be with us throughout the rest of this day, Lord. We love you. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, the topic that I received to speak on today is never alone. Just like Brad defined it, I'm going to define it. I feel like we all know what alone is, but just to make sure. Alone is separate, apart, or isolated from others. The story I'm going to use this, just by a show of hands, how many of you have ever heard the story of David and Goliath? That's good, because you're going to hear it again. See, just to give you the basic background of it, Goliath was a Philistine who had come to the Israelites and was basically asking for a one-on-one challenge. You know, if someone, just one person could beat him, it was over. The fight would be over and it would be okay. Now Goliath was a giant, a so-called champion. He was 6 cubits and 1 span tall, which according to my research was right around 9 feet 9 inches, which for any of you athletes is about 3 inches short of a basketball hoop. So that's a lot bigger than most of us. But in this story, David was a shepherd. He had, all his brothers had gone to the war, but he had stayed at home and was to tend to the flock. He was the youngest and the smallest of the children. His father was Jesse. But one day, Jesse came to him and asked him to go take supplies and to check on his brothers. So he left his flock and went to check on his brothers. And when he got there, he saw that they were all just kind of sitting there, not doing too much. He gave the supplies to the supply keeper guy. But anyways, when he went to his brothers, everybody around there was kind of just, you could tell that they were scared and they didn't know what to do. Well, the giant came out. And in verse 26, they had talked about, verse 25, they talked about the gifts that would be received, and it's in 2 Samuel 17, is the story, if you don't know. And they talked about the gifts that would be bestowed to the guy who could defeat Goliath. Of course, that didn't matter really to David. But in verse 26, because you have to read it from the Bible, because I couldn't have said it as well as he did. It says, David said to his brothers and the other men standing near, "Why are you letting this man defy the God of Israel? He's nothing but an uncircumcised Philistine. He can't speak like this against the living God."
Amen.
I feel like we understand that we're never alone and that God's always with us. But just because He's with us, there's times we go through situations we have to still be able to call on Him. There's no shame in calling on God. We have to put our pride aside and we have to be able to say, God, big or small, this circumstance, I'm putting it in your hands. I need your help. I can't handle it on my own. I'm calling on you.
Amen.
There's no shame in that. Well, so David decided, I'm going to go to Saul and I'm going to tell him I'm going to fight this guy because that's what I have to do. So he goes to Saul and Saul basically goes, "You're just a kid. You can't do this. You're just a kid." Well, David tells him, I'm a kid, but I've been a shepherd pretty much my whole life. And if you understand having a flock, losing one sheep is like you losing your whole flock. So he says, I know how to protect my sheep. I've defeated a lion and a bear with just a stone and a sling. Well, Saul says, all right, I'm not going to tell you no. You're the first guy that's been brave enough basically to come to me and actually say, go fight him. So Saul goes, here, and he gives him the armor. Well, he puts all the armor on, and like I said before, David was the smallest, so the armor did not fit him. But, so David basically took it back off and said, I don't need this. But it's so easy, we have to understand that it's so easy for David to do that, because he knew God was with him, and he called upon him. So he knew that rather he had the physical armor, he carried the spiritual armor that God has given to every single one of us.
Amen. Amen.
So it's easy to go into a fight when the other people can't see your armor, but you're carrying the mightiest armor of them all with you.
Amen.
Okay, when David went back out, even though Saul had given him weapons, he didn't want those because he's a shepherd. He carried around a sword, carried around a staff and some stones and a sling. So he went out and picked 5 smooth stones and a sling. And basically, then he decided he was going to go to Goliath and take him on, one-on-one. Well, when he got there, Goliath, we already understand that he was a giant. So, I mean, obviously, you disrespect someone that's been respected their whole life, they're not going to take it well. And that's exactly what Goliath felt like was happening. He felt like he was being disrespected because they sent a kid with a sling to fight him. So basically, Goliath said, am I a dog? You come with me with a staff and your kid and you expect to defeat me. And David basically looks at him and says, you can mock me, you can say whatever you want about me, but I have someone else on my side. I'm not just coming to you alone. I have my God.
Amen.
Amen.
And when David says this, Goliath pretty much, as if it wasn't bad enough, he made probably one of the worst decisions you could ever make as a human or anyone else, not just to mock David, which was the son of God, but he went all the ways to mock God and to tell him that his God was nothing, and he called upon all his gods. I don't know how people haven't learned by then or by now that mocking God is not your best option. But anyways, so basically, Goliath says, hit me with your best shot. So he gets one stone, puts it in, and what happens? Drops him. One stone. I mean, had to be a sweet shot. That's all I can say. But anyways, and then, so he goes up to him. I believe he takes the sword, doesn't he?
It's his own sword.
What's he do? Cuts off his head.
Amen.
Shouldn't have mocked God. But anyways, the reason I use this story is just, there's other stories, there's so many stories in the Bible to tell us every different thing, because God wants us to know as much as we can possibly know about Him. And He
Amen.
wants us to understand Him and what He's done for us and what He will do for us.
Amen.
The reason I chose this story, though, is I felt more called to use a story that showed how God was with someone and how He can use you to defeat something that against all odds you weren't supposed to be able to do, than to use a story where someone just felt alone. I feel like in our day and time, every single person, we have different struggles, different tribulations, different things we go through. And I feel like we allow ourselves to be consumed by the world and forget that God is with us no matter what. But the thing is, even though we're not David, David was a child of God, and everyone sitting in this room is a child of God. So when it comes down to it, big or small, God is going to be with us. He's going to help you. He might be waiting for you. You might be sitting there just thinking in your head, okay, he's got this. I'm going to let him have it. But sometimes we have to understand that we have to take that leap of faith and we have to just let it out and shout it that I need you, Lord, and that we'll lay down in front of him. And I understand that some situations are bigger than others, but we can't ever forget that without him, we're nothing. We wouldn't be here. We would have never been created. That problem would have never been there. But that through him, we can overcome that.
Amen.
They just sang the song right before, or right as me and Brad were walking up here. They sang the song and they said, if God is with us, then what can stand against us?
Amen.
And the thing is, if God is with us, nothing can stand against us.
Amen.
I know some struggles are harder than others, but I saw this quote the other day. I thought it's perfect. I have to say I saw it because I can't just say it's mine because it's not. But it says, when life knocks you to your knees, you're in the perfect position to pray.
Amen.
The way I kind of want to sum this up is Isaiah read Isaiah 41:10. I kind of want to reread it now, given what I've said, and a little bit more add to it, if you want to turn there. But it says in verse 10, it says, so don't be afraid, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you. I will hold you up with the right hand of my righteousness. I will send Cyrus to deliver you. The nations which depend on their idols and rage against you will be put to shame. They will be dumbfounded at your strength. Those who oppose you will be as nothing. They will perish. You will look for them and not find them. Your enemies will be nothing at all. I am the Lord your God. I will strengthen you and hold your hand. So do not be afraid. If you can't take it from me, take it from the Bible. We're never alone. God's with you. You can overcome anything. Amen.
Amen.